Hey, everybody. How's it shaking? You're supposed to say it like bacon.
Oh, like bacon.
And how are we tonight?
Does that count?
You're a dork.
Barely. I mean, okay, I suppose. Just waiting for the week to end already.
And what are you doing this weekend?
This weekend, we are going to Mr. Boston Gray's first birthday. That's what they call it.
Who?
Corinne's youngest boy.
I didn't catch a name.
Tomorrow, Boston.
Oh, Boston.
Yeah. So his first birthday is tomorrow, but they're having his birthday party on Saturday. So we're going to pop down there for a couple hours and say hi. And then Sunday we'll be down for Father's Day.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's about it in a nutshell.
Well, that'll do your whole weekend.
Uh-huh. Yep. Give us you'll have to forgive me. I'm a little bit brain dead this week so far. It's only Tuesday. It's been long this week. So how is everything going with the house? What's the next house update? Everybody is dying to know.
Well, the foyer upstairs is in. The walls are in around the staircase. The window's in. They started on the deck today. They're still drywalling. So it's just doing its thing.
Good stuff.
There he is. And he's got his robe on. I'm so proud of you.
I try.
Okay, good.
I mean, I would much prefer. I always much prefer when you have clothes on myself.
Sorry if you hear me crunching my popcorn.
That's okay. We'll allow it.
So tonight we're talking about Kentucky and haunted places in Kentucky. Because this time of year we get all hopped up on the fact that we're going to Kentucky in July.
But not for what you think.
Huh?
I wonder what that's for.
Gee, I wonder. The 75th year, that's what it's for.
Are they going to have milestone availability?
Probably.
That's exciting.
Probably.
And guess who's going to get the one that gets drawn for them and wins them?
Well, I already have my models put in for because they do things different now. So let's hope I get all the ones I put in for.
What did I miss?
What did you miss? Did you freeze?
I did.
Okay. We were talking about
models.
I heard Mom say, well, I already have, and then everything went to the spinning circle of death.
Oh, no.
No, I was telling him that I got all the models put in for. I just hope we get all the ones I put in for.
That would be nice.
Because if they run out, then they give you random draws, and I hate that shit. I think she's froze again.
I think she is too. Oh, there she is. Oh, there she is.
I'm going to blame the dogs because they keep scrambling under my feet.
There you go.
Yep.
Quit disturbing the energy field, dogs.
Yeah, right.
That's their business, man. Well, I want to start with talking about Liberty Hall in Frankfort, Kentucky.
Are you on the Spooky Traveler?
No. Why?
Because that's
What
the
is
first
Spooky?
thing I was looking at.
Do you want to talk about it?
Nope, go ahead. I did a lot of talking last week. It's your turn. We missed you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Mr. Base.
All right. Well, John Brown was one of Kentucky's first senators in 1796, and he built a family home in Frankfort. I like Frankfort area. It's nice. Many people have lived and died in the home, from slaves to relatives. Today, there are said to be 3 spirits that exist within the grounds of the house. The first and most famous is Ms. Margaret Varrick, the Gray Lady, as most people would refer to her as. She is said to have traveled around 800 miles to attend the funeral of a family member, only to succumb to a heart attack after her journey. She was buried in the garden to begin with, and rumors say her body was later moved. That seems odd, doesn't it?
A little bit.
Now her restless spirit is said to wander the grounds, opening doors, closing doors, and always wearing gray. A Spanish opera performer visited and disappeared mysteriously from the mansion in 1805. His spirit is also said to roam the property, along with a figure wearing a soldier's uniform. The young lad is reported to gaze into a ground level window with a love-struck expression. Maybe he's looking for the Gray Lady.
Very well, could be.
There's a lot of soldiers. There were a lot of soldiers back through that whole area way back then. So I can see a spirit of a soldier.
And
then you're next. What do you got?
Who's next?
You.
Why me?
Why not you?
I don't wanna.
Fine,
No, I
go ahead,
I was trying to look some things up because one of the things that is in Kentucky that a lot of people think of, aside from Waverly Hills Sanatorium, of course, because that's my number one favorite spot in Kentucky, is Bobby Mackey's Music World, which the original Bobby Mackey's building has since been demolished because unfortunately it was in very, very bad shape. So they had to pull the plug. Last I knew, I think they were going to rebuild, but I haven't honestly looked at anything up.
Yeah.
But I was trying to find some stuff to share because most of what we know about Bobby's Music World, about what people share, is actually not factual. So there's the legends behind there having been a murder where a girl was decapitated. They found her head in a well. The legend of Johanna, that's her name. And it turns out that it's possible she didn't even exist at all. So I was trying to find the information in writing because I thought it was very interesting when people started doing digging and realizing that everything, all the facts that we've gotten, particularly from a certain show, Ghost Adventures, are completely bullshit. But
see, and then there was the other story of Joanna there, where she actually was a singer there.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah. But it's very possible
that her dad murdered her lover.
Right, but none of that actually happened. There's no proof of it. It was all made up.
Well, does that really surprise you?
No.
I mean, look at how many things that are made up.
Right? So I just thought that was really interesting because I was learning about that this past year. But I watch a lot of different channels on YouTube that are more of the skeptic side, but they go over both sides, but they do deep dives and they find the accurate information, and it's kind of nice because then you can realize what's bullshit and what's not. So.
Well, I'm going to tell you our experiences, and they all happened on the outside of Mackey's. They were weird enough that we didn't want to go back over there or go inside after the shit that went down with us. So there is something there.
To wonder, children, can we not? Oh, huskies. I have to wonder if they're like you know how there's some areas that naturally have higher amounts of like geomagnetic force or electromagnetic fields or things like that, because
Or
they
bad
are
energy.
no, not I'm not talking about bad energy right now. I'm just talking about naturally occurring things such as those items. Because the first time oh my god, knock it off. The dogs want to talk too, apparently.
They're fine.
Hold that thought. Come on, that's what.
Did you work today?
Yep.
Did you come home smelling like a candle?
Oh, yeah.
What
Big
was the
old
flavor of the
stinky
day?
candle.
Okay. What I was trying to
Some
say
new
was,
fragrances.
Yummy.
I'm curious if there's been any studies done in that area, or if there have and I just don't know it, if that area has particularly higher levels of those things. Because like the first time we went to Bobby Mackey's and just did a drive-by because it was closed, our GPS back in the day when we didn't have a cell phone with GPS on it, it was an actual Garmin, one of them dinosaurs. It started malfunctioning, it wouldn't work. And I
We
know
almost died.
Yeah. And I know that can be caused by things in the area, not necessarily a haunting. So it is just something I've thought about over the years. But yeah.
Cool. Then there's always Waverly Hills, like you were talking about in Louisville.
Oh, I adore Waverly Hills. They'll always have a soft spot in my heart.
Yeah, I think we might be headed there.
While I wouldn't mind going back, I still want to go to places we've never been.
Well, once you get through this getting married bullshit, then we can actually plan stuff.
That's not very nice. It's not bullshit.
I feel like anybody that's planned a wedding feels like yeah.
But Waverly
She'll feel
Hills,
that way afterwards when she's like, I'm
she will.
that
Be like, Jesus, I'm glad it's over with.
I don't gotta do that again.
Nope, one and done, baby. Waverly Hills Sanitarium. Even those unfamiliar with Waverly Hills, it has a twisted pass, and just about everybody can agree that the structure looks creepy even when you're driving up onto it. It's ginormous.
The architecture is beautiful.
Oh, it's gothic. I love the gargoyles. It was built in the early 1900s as a tuberculosis hospital.
The 1920s, yep.
And then later a mental hospital and geriatric center. The death count there was so high that patients were delivered for burial and disposal through a tunnel system. We were in that tunnel, the death tunnel.
Which they used to spare the patients seeing the amount of deaths that were taking place. They didn't want to discourage the patients that were still fighting TB. So they thought it would be nicer to transport the bodies underground to spare them of seeing that death, even though it was unfortunately apparent.
And there was many, many, many. And like Chelsea said, the tunnel, it was done to prevent panic among the residents. It wasn't just the ill who lost their lives at Waverly. A nurse is known to have hung herself in the bell tower, and her spirit is said to wander the halls of Waverly along with many patients, which we do have a story of her.
Mm-hmm.
And people who take footage or photos at Waverly often later find floating orbs and distortions in the images. The sanatorium has been featured in so many television series. Fox's Scariest Places on Earth, Zone Reality's Creepy, Most Haunted Places, Paranormal Challenge, Ghost Hunters, Celebrity, what's that one called? Celebrity Paranormal Network or Project. Celebrity Paranormal Project. It's on VH1.
Does VH1 still exist?
Yeah, it does.
Amazingly.
I just stream. I don't know what's on the actual television anymore. It was on Mom's favorite Ghost Adventures,
We don't talk about that.
but I want to talk about it because
We don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about your experience with the nurse.
It wasn't the nurse.
it wasn't?
No, she was a patient.
Was it me with the nurse? I don't remember anymore.
No, she was not. She was not a nurse. She was a patient at the time. I don't remember the time frame. I would have to look it up. Her name was Lois. I believe she was in her early mid-20s, and she was always known for being very helpful around Waverly, very positive, very good mindset. She always tried to help her fellow residents that were around her, and people just really loved her. And she did end up passing away of TB. And when we were there in 2012, which was a lifetime ago, we ended up getting the voice of a woman coming through the spirit box, and she said hello. So we said hello back, and she asked, "How are you?" And I'm like, "Good. How are you?" And she said, "I'm good." And I'm like, "What's your name?" And I get Lois. Okay. And then I get nothing else. We're going through the 3rd and 4th floors, and every time we would like approach a certain area, her voice would come back up and she would say things like, "Don't go in there, watch out, get out." And we'd be like, "Oh." And the 3rd and 4th floors were known to have Big Black, and I think they call him the Creeper.
Yep.
So the Creeper is kind of like a blobby type thing, not even really human shaped, allegedly. I mean, from what we saw, that it just looked like a shadow form of some sort, and it just kind of darts all across the room. And then Big Black is a giant figure of what we assume is a guy who will just like come at you. So I just thought it was very interesting that she was very vocal on those 2 floors. And by the end of the night, we were very thankful, and we said, "Thank you for communicating, rest well," whatever. So by the end of it, there was a guy there who volunteers at Waverly, and we asked him, "Is there anybody that was here by the name of Lois?" And he's like, "Oh, come here, I'm going to show you something." And I can't remember which floor it was. It was either the 2nd or the 3rd floor. They had a plaque commemorating the patient named Lois because she was so helpful. So when he showed that to us, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's valid." So it was a very cool experience, a very enlightening experience, and I think about it quite often. And I was just freshly 21 years old, so it was very cool, very neat. Yeah.
And the children's floor, that ball will roll all over the place. And I always thought that was refreshing.
And Mom had her ponytail taken out of her hair.
I did. Felt the little hand come right up my back and pulled my ponytail holder right off and you watched it drop to the floor like someone had it in their hand and dropped it. It was cool as shit.
Conrad, were you ever at Waverly?
Nope.
You should go. Just go. Just sign up and go.
Show up at our hotel.
Huh?
What?
Well, we're going to be down there on a Thursday. You could go with us to Briar on Friday, and then we're probably going to head there afterwards.
It's like another 3 hours south, right?
Well, it's either that or Tennessee. I don't know which one yet, so.
Is Tennessee not happening anymore?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So it's one or the other. We're going to be on the road.
Oh, yay. I love long car rides.
Don't worry, I'll drive.
Oh, no. I'm not going. I'm gonna be sick that week in July.
It's all on you, Conrad.
When is that again? I can't remember.
When is it, Chelsea? July something. Second weekend, I think.
I believe so. I have it in my handy dandy calculator here.
In her calculator.
Calendar. Jeez. Briarfest is the weekend of the 12th. So we'll be there the 11th. It goes on the 11th and 11th through the 13th. I'm sorry.
But we'll get down there the 11th in the afternoon. We'll hit Briarfest the 12th and hopefully be out of there by what, noon, 1 o'clock?
That would be nice.
Yeah. We normally get the horses and skate. But if you come down, we'll hang out and let you go through the whole museum and shit.
See the horses.
And then we'll hit the road.
That'll depend on work.
Just call in dead. You'll be fine.
Not if I gotta go to.
He likes a paycheck.
I mean,
If I have to
that's totally valid.
If I have to go out of state, though, that's the other thing. For work.
You got to go out of state for work?
Maybe, possibly.
Training or?
No. Well, technically I would be because it'd be my first time doing it. So they do shows outside of the state.
Oh, do they? Okay, good.
Tell them to do one at Briarfest.
Just tell them that you really have to go with your mom because she gets lost too easy. You wouldn't be lying.
Well, she has CRF.
That too.
If we let her off the leash, she'll end up who knows where. Or we'll probably get a phone call from her in Alabama or something.
Or in jail.
Like,
True
well, I took the wrong exit and I just decided to keep going.
I've done that. Remember one time I told Chelsea to get into the truck. We were going for a ride and we ended up on Mackinac Island that night.
That was fun.
It really was. No, we went to Mackinac Island and then we stayed in Mackinac City. Then we made our way back.
Good
and
times.
then I had to call Dad and let him know we weren't coming home.
Yeah, he's like, "Where are you guys?" It's like 9 o'clock. And we're like,
We went for a ride.
we're kind of out north, like on an island.
On an island.
He was like, "Okay, see you tomorrow." It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you just don't know what we'll ever do.
No, we're very random.
And then there's the old tavern in Bardstown we were at.
Little tavern. When did we go here?
Jesus, that was forever and a year ago.
I was gonna say I don't like it. We've been going down there for so long. My memory is just a little bit hazy.
You guys were still in high school, I want to say.
Oh, yeah, that was a minute ago. I don't want to talk about it.
But it's the old Talbot Tavern, and it's the oldest tavern in Kentucky. And it was built in 1779. And naturally, the city is Bardstown now. It wasn't called that then. I can't remember what it was called. The community had no name when the tavern was constructed. Okay, so it was no name. That makes good sense. It was well-known stagecoach stop that has seen many travelers, including Jesse James and a banished king. There are several rooms that hold scars from visits by Jesse James, including one where he attacked and another where James thought he saw someone in his room and fired his weapon, leaving bullet holes in the wall. It's also rumored that Spectre was the very first ghost reported in the old tavern. Visitors today report hearing strange footsteps and voices, seeing apparitions of a man and woman, and doors opening on their own, which we did witness that when we were inside there. We watched the doors open, and I was like, oh, this is cool. But Bardstown is not very big, but they keep it up really nice. Then there's Camp Taylor in Louisville. Camp Taylor, they say it can be the second most haunted neighborhood in the United States. That kind of makes you go, oh. Small community.
Right, let's go.
Yep. The small community was once a military camp named after General Zachary Taylor. The streets are named after other generals like Sherman and Lee. And during the camp's time as a military site, the TB epidemic struck Louisville. Camp Taylor was devastated by the disease, and bodies were said to be stacked from floor to ceiling in the buildings. Ghostly soldiers and even a few women from the bordello are said to wander the neighborhood. Many residents have reported seeing soldiers walking in formation across the fields and streets, and a blonde woman in a blue Victorian-era dress is also known to wander the area. A young girl also roams Taylor Boulevard along with the soldiers, but no one really knows any history about the little girl, and she's appearing more and more frequently. So that's kind of a mystery in itself. That'd be kind of cool to hit that place up too.
I think some of the coolest little towns are in Kentucky.
Oh, for sure. 100%. I just love
Kentucky and Western Tennessee are that there's so many little places and well, like even Western Kentucky, we found what was that little town that you went to sing and got sick and couldn't sing?
Oh God.
That was a hell of a drive, and then she got sicker than a dog.
Oh,
I can't even remember. That was like 2008?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. But she stayed in bed for like 17 hours and then felt better. We started walking. It just an old place, but antique stores up the yin yang, and across the street from one was this restaurant, and it looked like it was ready to fall in. I mean, if you threw a match in, it probably would have went up. It had the best food you could ever imagine, all from scratch. Best fried green tomatoes on earth, and I still say that to this day.
I have my co-host behind me.
I see your king.
Mr. Magnum.
Well, what about Eddyville, the Kentucky State Penitentiary that's there? That place is gorgeous.
From the outside, the inside's a bit rough.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. It looks like Ohio State Reformatory, but 30 times worse. Just with peeling paint and such.
Well, tell us about it.
I don't know anything about it. I know it's a prison. Was a prison.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it's the oldest prison in the state. It was built in 1886. The architecture is not only solid, but it's classified as a work of art, and it really is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
The design building was made to hold prisoners, but a lot of spirits have made their home there, and a lot of them are documented. Due to its age, one can only imagine the conditions, treatment, and executions that took place within these walls. Can you imagine in the 1800s? Modern inmates and guards tell tales of strange orbs, footsteps when no one's there, voices, screaming, and other hair-raising experiences. Just because a prisoner's body dies there doesn't mean its soul rests. And they tell everybody that.
oof.
I don't think I'd want to be left behind in a prison all my life.
No, not really.
No.
Have we talked about Buffalo Trace?
No.
Okay. So anybody who knows me knows that I love my bourbon. And
I would go back there in a heartbeat.
Buffalo Trace is probably one of my absolute favorite bourbon distilleries. They are just, the place is awesome. It smells amazing if you like that kind of thing.
We should just spend a whole week down there and say screw it. I'm down.
I love it. But Buffalo Trace, especially over the more recent years, have received visits from a lot of paranormal investigators. I believe even ghost hunters went there at one point. I remember this episode. I know what happened. They believe that the spirit of Colonel E.H. Taylor and Colonel Albert B. Blanton are there. Taylor was the distillery's founder, and Blanton ran the distillery in the first half of the 20th century and died on site in 1959. And Ghost Hunters was there in 2013, and they recorded strange noises, unusual cold spots, inexplicable phantom contact, in line with decades of such reports. And after the show aired, Buffalo Trace added a ghost tour to its lineup so that visitors can take the same path that ghost hunters did while they were there.
I don't think they have that anymore.
I was just going to say, but unfortunately they did phase it out, but they will still talk about their spooky stories. But the one thing I will say when it comes to like cold spots there, I think it's just the natural way of how the buildings are, because they're old buildings. They're built for aging bourbon, and some of the buildings are just naturally super cold. So I don't know that I would use cold spots as evidence toward it.
No, I wouldn't there.
But I wouldn't be. I personally think there's something there. I really do.
Well, as old as it is, there's a spirit or two hanging around. Spirit.
Spirits love their spirits.
Mom's got the jokes tonight.
She's got to make up for missing last week.
I totally forgot about it. I didn't even realize I forgot about it till today.
There's actually quite a few distilleries in Kentucky that are listed as possibly haunted. Another popular one was the Old Crow Distillery, and it's actually just down the road from Buffalo Trace.
We've been there.
It was opened in 1882 as the original home to Old Crow Kentucky bourbon, Old Grandad, and other whiskeys. The distillery was left derelict in 1987 upon the sale of parent company National Distillers to Jim Beam. As it sat abandoned, the stone walls blackened and crumbled, and it was reported that unusual things started happening. There is a Travel Channel show by the name of Ghost Asylum that sent a crew to investigate the site. And over time, through their visit, they felt the presence of a spirit that they believed belonged to Andrew Trumbo, which was a distillery worker who died after stepping through an uncovered hole in a warehouse elevator platform. And he lost his leg in the fall and then soon after his life. The distillery does remain abandoned, and it can be seen on the drive to working distilleries Castle and Key and Buffalo Trace. It was also in an episode of Destination Fear before it was canceled. When they went, they didn't really experience anything, and the place was severely run down. I would not recommend anybody go there just for safety reasons alone. Very sketchy.
Still standing?
Yes. What's left of it anyway? Not much. Some of it has.
Yeah, if you want a pretty distillery, it's the Jim Beam one.
Oh, I love Jim Beam. Okay, listen. So, side note, Jim Beam, last time I was there, they have like all their different bourbons you can try, but it's set up like a fountain pop machine. So like you go up to the machine and you hit a lever and it's like a fountain pop dispenser, but it's bourbon. It's beautiful. Now, mind you, you cannot fill your cup as much as you want. It is measured, unfortunately, but safety first. But it's so cool. What?
There's a
Jim's
lot
one-
of cool ones down there. There's
He's
even
one of
more
my
now that we haven't seen.
Mhm.
I
Well,
like
even
the Extra Brook ones. It's a little too modern, but it's got good bourbon. So
we went over the last few years. One of the more recent ones we finally went to was Wild Turkey, which I actually really liked. I didn't think I would, but I really liked, and it's beautiful.
I like Four Roses.
Four Roses is my favorite
No,
distillery,
that's not my favorite.
but I love the story of it. I love
Yeah.
the comeback story. Like, it's stuck with me. It's
The
something
comeback
about
story is wonderful because that used to be the cheapest rock gut around.
So, just a basic rundown of the story. Four Roses was known as a really good bourbon, but then I think it was because of prohibition, they started losing money. They had to cheapen the recipe. So they changed it, and all of a sudden it became just rot gut whiskey. People would buy a gallon of it for like $5-10. It was the party whiskey because it was cheap. College kids loved it because they just drank it and didn't taste it. Well, around 2001, 2002, I believe it was, some Japanese businessmen came to Kentucky because the Japanese were huge fans of Four Roses bourbon, and the batches that they had there were the original recipe. So when they came to the distillery to see where everything was made and they tried it, they were appalled. They're like, this is not what we drink at home. What is this? So they explained to them, this is what happened. We don't actually use that recipe anymore. We just can't. So those Japanese businessmen actually bought out Four Roses, and they restored the whiskey so that it was its original recipe, and it has its good flavor back again. So because of these people in Japan, they came over here, they actually saved a piece of American history, which I just thought was so awesome. And now we have the better Four Roses again. It's just a great story. I love it. But anywho's.
And then there's always the cemetery.
Lexington? Oh, I love Lexington Cemetery. It's amazing. Still haven't really been able to go through all of it because usually when we're there, it's hot as shit by 10 o'clock in the morning. And the cemetery is huge.
Oh, you could spend all day in it without a problem.
Easy. But it's really cool, and there's a lot of history there. I mean, you've got people from the Civil War buried in there, just beautiful architecture and statues and mausoleums, and it's awesome. But I love walking through cemeteries. It's like anytime I go to a new place, I'm always keeping my eye out for the cemetery because you find some really beautiful places. And they're peaceful. You don't have people bugging you. Most of the people that are there are nice and quiet.
I only get on TikTok for one person because I only like her videos. And her and her mom are getting a place in Michigan. And they're inheriting a cemetery on the property.
Wow.
So we get to take care of it. And she's all excited because she's into that stuff. So, I was jealous.
I always thought it would be.
Michigan's one of the few states that you can actually still have a cemetery on your property.
Yeah. I've always thought that being a caretaker for a cemetery would be kind of cool.
Talk to
You'd
them.
never leave.
Huh?
You'd never leave.
Probably not. They're like, what are you doing hanging out with my people?
I made new friends.
Right. They're like, oh, you want
They
to come?
really are the best friends to have.
They make the best neighbors too. Like I one of my favorite cemeteries, and only because it's home, is the Fairview Cemetery in Linden, which, thinking about it now, it's kind of ironic that It's called Fairview.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always loved that cemetery, and they have graves in there. I think that date back to at least the 1880s, because I want to say Linden was founded around 1897 or something like that. So they've got some pretty old graves in there. They've got the section of children. They've got the section where when the influenza struck in 1918. So yeah, it's really, really interesting. But one of my fondest memories, although I was mortified, walking Miss Bristol, our Shar-Pei, who's been gone since 2018 now. She was only about a year old when I was walking her, so it was like around 2010-ish, 2011. And I'm walking her through, and all of a sudden she decides to pee on a grave. And the grave said Livingston. And I'm like, Bristol, you can't pee on Livingston! So here I am apologizing to a grave. So I'm sorry. Please don't hurt me. She didn't mean it. So, yeah, Bristol peed on Livingston. Ironically, I have not been able to find that gravestone since that happened.
Well, he got up and left. He was upset.
I guess.
Hey, Mitchell.
Hey.
Hi, Joni. Yes, all three of us do readings.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
What can I say? It runs in the family.
Well, why don't we... She says, wow.
Wow.
What do we have coming up real quick?
Well, you're singing. Well, wait, you got your engagement barbecue coming up.
Yep. So I have that. The next time I will be at the Legion in Grayling will be June 28th from 7 to 10.
So if you guys are up north, you need to go to the Legion in Grayling because she's starting to fill that place.
It's
That's
fun.
awesome.
It's a good time.
It is a good time. Good people. You can just
Joni
chill
asked,
out.
so you always are knowing each other's next moves? I mean, I think we know each other's next moves just because we're family. So I think we would know it no matter what. There's
Mom
days,
always knows for sure.
yeah, there's days where I'll message Conrad and I'll be like, what the hell are you thinking? And he's like, what?
Mhm. Get out of my head.
And he's like, can I have some privacy? And I'm like, no.
Or he'll
And
call me when his wallet's missing.
I love it. Your voice is beautiful. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
She does have a beautiful voice.
I had the distinct pleasure of opening the Back to the Bricks tour here in West Branch last Friday with the national anthem. It was a lot of fun, very last minute. I got the call the night before and I was like, of course I'll do it. Why not? Because I was planning to go anyway after work. So it worked out really well.
Well, there was actually a spot for you to do a complete set next weekend, but that's the weekend of your engagement party, so we had to forego that.
Yep. Yeah, I was told that, but I was like, sorry guys, I'm celebrating somebody's crazy enough to actually marry me. So
True story.
oh, bless Mitchell. I don't think he knows what he's getting into.
Oh, he does.
He's
He
just
does.
as crazy as me, for sure. For sure.
That's okay. I kept telling you, you move away, you're going to find somebody.
Although the ironic part is I moved north and then I have to go back south to find somebody.
Right.
How
But
does that-
only in our world would that happen.
I know, right?
Yeah. That is true.
Joni says we seem very fun. Well, thank you. We think we're fun.
We
can be fun.
We're hilarious.
Or we're just a bunch of smartasses.
Yeah.
That too. I'd go with the smart ass part, especially when they're all wound up. And don't ever, if they ever offer you something to drink, don't try it. Just don't do it.
What are you trying to say?
It's disgusting. It's always disgusting.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No.
Tell them no, thank you.
No, thank you. Well,
Mom?
you might try mine if it has tequila in it.
Oh, that yeah, I would try that.
I can't do the browns no more, so
It sounds weird.
no. They make my jaw hurt.
That's strange.
I honestly don't even really drink to say I drink anymore because it makes my whole body hurt.
Definitely depends on the drink. I can still drink some wine. I can still drink my bourbon. As long as bourbon likes me, I'm happy.
But
Fine.
it's also known in the spiritual world, the more spiritual, the more in tune you get, the less alcohol you consume.
I definitely wouldn't recommend doing readings after drinking. No.
Headaches suck. Makes the hangover even worse too.
Not to mention the fact your filter is completely gone, and sometimes you'll say things that person's just not ready to hear.
Why have you done that?
No.
No, never.
No, I've never done that.
I don't think we need alcohol to do that, but sometimes they just need that little push.
Okay, Joe, you drink, I'll read. Sounds like a plan.
I love it.
But then I'll be jealous. Who'd you do that to?
A friend of mine's husband. We were all just, and it was not planned. We were
I
all just
remember.
early 20s, stupid
Yep.
moment. Yes, we had rides home. I did not drive, thank God.
But you put him in his place too.
He had lost his dad several years before that, and he was just kind of hanging out, and all of a sudden I just got that feeling, and I just bleh. And then he got really defensive because he thought I was messing with him, and I ended up grabbing him by the collar of his shirt, and I'm like, your dad wants you to know this. I woke up the next morning, I was like, I'm so sorry. But the good thing that came out of it is, after that morning, everybody recovered, and he was like, no, don't be sorry. That meant a lot to me. And I'm sorry if I was rude about it. I said, dude, you had every right to be here. But ever since that happened, we've been super cool. But no, don't do it. Wouldn't recommend.
You. Have you ever read anyone and seen death? And do you tell them? Yes, Joni, I've seen it many times. And do I tell them? No.
No,
I do not believe that is something anyone should know.
I can't say I've seen it when I've given readings, but I don't think I want to, and I don't think I ever will because of that. That's not something
you built walls up to deter that.
Yes, it's not something I want to be privy to. I don't even. No. Nope. Nope.
I've had it come through twice and slip through because I try not to let that come through because I don't want to know it either.
Mm-hmm. There have been times where I've just been filled with that feeling of dread, and I'm like, nope. Not today.
It's one of the reasons I don't like reading my close family or friends either, just in case.
Yeah.
My thing with family and friends,
I tend to still see when you're going to pass naturally, not from being murdered or an accident. But Chelsea can even tell you, and it happened, what was that 1 year 3 times within God, it was probably maybe 3 months of each other, less than that. But I'd look at somebody and they look gray. And I would tell Chelsea they're going to have a heart attack. And they would.
Yeah. That
was not cool.
I mean, there have been instances, and this isn't reading related, but just like, and this can be a common thing with family, where both Mom and I will wake up and know that somebody in our family passed away, and then later that day we get the news.
Yep.
So it kind of sucks, but
you can't stop it.
Mm-mm.
And I can see why people celebrate now instead of mourn death, because they are going to a better place.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you don't have to pay taxes. You don't have to pay a mortgage. You don't have to
There's
pay
so
bills.
many benefits.
No, but
You can revert back to whatever was your favorite part of your life.
I've always said for the longest time, if something happened to me, there is not going to be a funeral. There's going to be a big ass party, and it's going to be a great time.
And she's going to pass out Ouija boards, and we're all going to communicate.
I love the idea of passing out like a little homemade Ouija board to everybody at like a celebration of life that says "keep in touch."
I would love that.
I'm going to put a cell phone in your casket, and I'm just going to start calling it so it dings.
Well, and I've seen what some people have done for their funerals. They'll pre-record something if they know like they're in hospice or something. And there was one guy who had a really good sense of humor. And as they were putting his casket down in the ground, they had a speaker with his voice going, "Hello, it's really dark in here."
I would do that.
But the family appreciated his humor, so instead of crying, they were laughing, and I just thought that was so cool. Joni, I am afraid of those boards. You really don't have to be afraid of spirit boards.
No reason.
I will say, if you don't have a reason to use them, don't. But it is very rare that something bad would happen. The stories that you hear, especially on TV, through those YouTube ghost hunters that claim, "Oh, we let a demon in. Oh, there's demons everywhere." There's not.
There's not.
Do I believe demons can be a possibility? I can't discount it. Do I think they're as common as a Snickers bar? No. No, not at all. So when
a lot of people that say they've had a bad encounter with one, it's normally mind over matter with that. When they tell you that, it's because they were raised to think, "Oh, this is bad. This is evil," just like being a reader. Yeah. We couldn't talk about that for years and years and years because we were bad. We were evil. Same thing with a Ouija board. You get that implanted in your head. Shit happens.
She said, when we were younger, we always tried to bring back Janis Joplin. That's exciting.
That would be awesome if she answered.
I have to tell you, when it came to like Janis Joplin or anybody in the 27 club, so all those famous people that passed away at the age of 27, that had me so scared to turn 27 years old. I was counting the days to my 28th birthday. I'm like, come on, let's go. Let's speed this up. Because it just
talks about going from 26 to 28. I'm like, it's not happening.
But it's just bizarre how there were so many musicians that just happened to pass away at the age of 27. And not just musicians, but there's been other people like famous actors and things like that. The one I'm still really heard about, Anton Yelchin, he played Odd Thomas in Dean Koontz's rendition of Odd Thomas.
That was so sad.
He was also in the remakes of Star Trek. He was a blooming young actor. He had such a promising career, and there was a malfunction. I think it was a Jeep, and it was something that they knew, and it was a recall, and the vehicle ended up like the brake malfunctioned, and it rolled backwards and pinned him between the car and the garage, and he asphyxiated. And it just, that one still hurts, and it's been years.
Well, that's an awful way to go.
Ugh, it just makes me so mad.
I know.
He was the best for Odd Thomas. He did such a good job.
He did. I like the books better, though.
Well, the books are always better. And I appreciated what they did for the movie. They had to change a lot of the details because of copyright.
Yeah.
So if you keep in mind the movie adaptations, they do have to change things because of that. It does make it a little bit easier. And then you can kind of enjoy their approach to it if you choose.
If you choose.
Well, anything else to add, my dears?
Well, I'm thinking we've got your engagement barbecue, and then the day after that, I'm doing readings in Houghton Lake. Oh, and then I'm going to the casino, but that's another story.
You're doing readings in Houghton Lake that Sunday?
Yeah.
For what?
It's a private party, but if you want to come, I'm sure I can get you the address.
Private party.
Oh, I did one of those last weekend too.
Thank you,
And then I
Joni.
did one last night too. At Fuller Lashes in Fenton. I go there probably every 6 weeks, every 2 months, whenever they want me. And I just love going there. Everyone there is just wonderful.
Good stuff.
Other than that, guys, I think we killed an hour.
Yes, we sure did. I think we're gonna call it. I think next week was talking about
Your first paranormal experience.
yeah. So
Very
next,
How was
good,
your
guys.
first paranormal experiences?
whether you are watching us live or you are watching this after, we thank you either way. But if you want to join us next Tuesday, we're going to be talking about our first paranormal encounters. So we would love it if you join and let us know what your first
And share
encounters are.
with us your encounters. Absolutely.
You're more than
Paranormal.
welcome to. You can drop a comment on this video. You can send us a private message through the Tipsy and Witchy Facebook page, and we can share. We don't have to use your name, so if you want to remain anonymous, totally fine. But
And if you don't, that's fine too.
exactly,
We'll share everything. Joni, that would be just a hoot if you got the rest of the rock peeps in here. I don't talk about it on, when we're watching the show, but because I just don't do that. But if they find us, that's great.
I love the rock
share.
peeps.
Oh yes, I've got Chelsea hooked.
They're so good.
Conrad watches when he can.
They've
Just
sang
to
me
laugh,
happy
I think.
birthday. They're so awesome. I actually have some of their rocks on my desk here. So, like, I have this whale tail, and I have this really pretty. It's aquamarine and amethyst that came from them when they showed this. I was like, mine. So yeah, I always have them.
And she yells at me when I show everybody my rocks.
I only did 2. That's it. 2. I'm done.
Oh, well, I got to tell you guys before we get off. You know that giant ass stalactite I got?
Yeah.
We're going to hang it upstairs.
How are you going to hang it?
We've made like this holder for it that it slips down in it, and we're going to hang it right in the corner by the staircase.
Please tell me it's not macrame.
No. It's going to look like it's coming right out of the ceiling.
Joni says, I won't tell you how many I have. Have a great week. I'll have to mention it in chat one day. Well, thank you for joining us.
Joni, I bet you have more than I do, and I have a museum at this point.
Oh, we love you guys. Well, everybody have a great rest of your week. Let's hope that we get some summer weather. I'm so tired of wearing a hoodie. It is June 10th, and I wore a hoodie today.
It's going to be a shitty summer.
Ugh, it's fine. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week. So have a good one and stay spooky. Bye.
Bye.
We love you all. Have a great night. Bye-bye. Peace.